Alright, welcome back. So in the last video we got introduced to what functions are and how you write your own functions, and we implemented something like this by writing a code which was like this, and this is now a clean code. I'll remove this line, right? So basically, to revise, you have a function declaration in which you write function, then the name of that function, and then you write three statements inside, or I mean any number of statements inside, and everything that is in here is now a part of this function. And whenever you want to execute these, you simply write the name of the function with the parentheses. So now what we're going to see in this video is how you can pass arguments in your function, or parameters, right? Parameters or arguments, right? So let's say now you want something different. You want this thing only, but when you're doing the first call, this one, you want your fruit to be banana, jeep and laptop, that's fine. But in the second call, you want it to be, let's say, Apple, and then Mercedes, and device to be iPad, let's say, right? So that's different. However, we're writing the same code here. So how do you think that will happen, right? And in the third one, if we want different things, so how do you actually do that? So that is done through parameters or arguments, right? Yeah, right. So what parameters are basically, variables that you pass to the function. You might have heard the word pass. I might have said it a lot of times already, but what pass technically means is that you are, giving a value to the function that it can use inside itself. So what I mean is, this is where these parentheses come into, right? So let's say I do something like this, and I do fruit plus car plus preferred device. And here, so now if we are doing something like this, of course we need to have variables to make this work. So I'll do var fruit is equal to, let's first give them values inside the function only. And this should be car, right? So what's the warning here? Yeah, ignore this warning. So now we can expect to see the same thing that we saw before, and if I refresh to, everything's the same, right? So yeah, everything's the same, and that is basically because we have not made any difference to this. We have just stored these things in variables, and we've just appended those variables, or we have concatenated strings here and made the same thing that we had before. So this is not a very big problem. So now what I want to show you is that these variables can be different for each function call, right? So I'll just write that first, and then you'll get an idea of exactly what I'm talking about. So what you can do is you can write the names in here, right? And again, I'll just write it first. So to use this now, you will pass and laptop, right? Alright, so this is basically all that arguments are, but what have I done here? What exactly is this, right? So first I wrote three names inside this. So basically what these three are, they are basically names of the variables that we are going to use inside the function, right? And you want these variables to take a different value depending on who is calling them, right? When they are called here, you want these three variables to have a different value. When they are called here, you want these three to have a different value, and similarly for this, right? The last call. So that is why you have taken them as arguments, right? So basically now what you did now down here, you said banana here, you said jeep here and laptop. That's fine. So what this does is that the first thing that you've written goes into the first variable. The second thing that you've written here, right, goes to the second variable. And the third thing that you've written here, right, goes to the third variable. And similarly, you could have infinite variables and they could get infinite values, right? If I go back here, I get fruit, banana, car, jeep, device, laptop, first ended. And then the rest are undefined, right? And that is basically because we have the variables here. This function is now expecting 3 arguments. So this is what an argument is, or a parameter. They are basically the same thing. So fruit, car and preferred device here are arguments, right? Or parameters. And these are also arguments, banana, jeep, laptop. So now this function is expecting 3 arguments. And obviously if we have 3 things up here, we need to pass 3 things from below too. So here we can pass apple, what is that, Mercedes, and it was iPad, right? So now with the second call, the fruit variable will get a value of apple because down here we have apple, and the car variable will get a value of Mercedes because down here we get Mercedes. Preferred device will be iPad, and if I go back, I see fruit, banana, car, jeep, device, laptop, first ended, right? Then fruit, apple, car, Mercedes, device, iPad, and second ended. Again, great. But third is still undefined due to the same reason. And this time we'll give it, let's say, year. And we can give it, I don't know, BMW. And then we can say, let's just use our phone, right? So now if I refresh, this fruit, car and device are different on all of them. So how did I make that work? I basically took 3 arguments in the function and then I passed those arguments the values that they needed to have in each function call. So what happens is when you pass a value, that value is retained in that variable only for that particular function call, right? So once this execution of this function finishes, like when this log block calls this function, right, all of these lines are executed once. So when all of them are executed once, the value of fruit, car and preferred device is resetted to undefined. And then the next time you need to pass a different value. It is not possible that here you use the same value as you were using here. Like you could write the same thing here and that would work, but you cannot, the function cannot remember the values that it had in one function call, right? So this is basically what arguments are. And again, arguments are really commonly passed, like if you see in this. So now you can understand this console.log function better. So console.log is a function and you are passing this first ended string as an argument. So on the back end, like it's not the back end, but what they have written, the predefined function, console.log would be taking an argument in and it would be printing it out here. So that's it. That is basically what we have been doing the whole time. And now we have just given a formal definition to it. And here too, we saw that you could have a different value inside these parentheses every time, right? And different things got printed. So basically the only thing fixed in a function is the operations it performs. The values that it is performing the operation on can differ, and that you can achieve through something known as arguments, which we have saw in this in this video. Now there are a lot of things about scope, right? And that is what we are going to see in the next video. Scope is actually quite important. It's not a new concept. It's not something that you will write in your code, but it is something that you need to know in the back of your mind when you're writing code. Otherwise, you will not be able to do it, right? So yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.